So I go on many doctors because I think that they're bad. But what I hate most is the doctors who do their job but are completely useless. What I mean by that is consultants who put in a note, may or may not have seen a patient, and technically fulfill the letter of the contract, but actually are completely useless, utterly useless, many times actually harmful to patients. Let me give you an example. So sometimes I may ask somebody to see a patient to help out for this or that, right? Let's say a cardiologist. One cardiologist, not saying that this happens often, of course I can't confirm this, actually said to diurese the patient, but she never actually saw the patient nor talked to the patient. And, no, there's a lot of ways of working around, but I feel like for cardiologists to say heart failure, you sort of gotta see the patient to say they're fluid overloaded. I guess you could trust other people's notes, but that's like the only thing that you do, right? So, yeah. It made my life really hard the next day because I had ordered diuretics per the cardiologist's instructions. The patient was very upset, never talked to him about it. And I said, but the cardiologist talked to you about it. And he said, no, I've never seen the cardiologist. And I couldn't get it through my head. What do you mean? The cardiologist said, and I looked at the note, and it didn't have a physical exam. And I talked to some colleagues. They're like, yeah, this cardiologist may be known for doing stuff like that. So they have a note there. So they've seen the patient figuratively, practically, no, but by the contract, I guess they've done their job because they put it on, and that's all that's required, right? So basically, in my job, the note is for billing purposes, and as one of my former colleagues said, it's only for billing purposes, otherwise, utterly useless. And that's the thing. So it's supposed to be helpful, but yeah, I guess in certain cases it's utterly useless. Like these doctors I consult and they see the patient or not, and they write a note which has no useful information. And basically they say, oh yeah, well it's dangerous, it's risky, blah blah blah. So don't do anything. Like, yeah, I think life is risky. Just by the fact that we eat food, we're probably hastening our death. Food creates free radicals, mutations. That's bad for our body, right? Antioxidants, those are against these free radicals that we create by eating food. So we should just not eat and die. I mean, we're all going to die anyways. Why prolong the inevitable? So this is why I go off on rant and sort of with these doctors, because I feel like really there's two aspects of our job. One is to do what we need to do to get paid. Billing is part of that. But the more important one is do what we need to do to help patients, or so I thought. That is why we're in the field of medicine. And I found some of the most useful doctors. One, I remember a neurologist in Sacramento. He just flat out told me. I asked him if he could see a patient. I met him. I thought he's a pretty good guy. Knows his stuff. He's like, look, she's already seen the smartest one in our group. There's no point in me seeing him. You just need to get her to a smarter doctor. Transfer her to somewhere else. I mean, he didn't write a note. Did he do his job? I mean, could he have done a note and put in useless information because he had nothing to say? No insight to offer? I mean, he really had nothing to offer. I realized nobody in all of Sacramento probably had anything to offer. We got our UCSF, they got the diagnosis pretty quickly because they're UCSF. But the thing is, by telling me no, he actually gave me the answer. As in, no, there's no point in having her here. We are useless. Get her somewhere smarter, better. He was helpful. He helped the patient. The patient's family was very grateful to me. They have no idea who this doctor is. This doctor never saw the patient. I have another doctor who we saved the guy's life. The guy was crying at the end. Because, I mean, we literally saved his life. If there were another doctor on board, the patient could very well have died. He would have been intubated and died then, but he would have just died. because they wouldn't have fixed his issue. He had an eosinophilic pneumonia. It was not a pneumonia that was treated with antibiotics. They don't work. It's treated with steroids. But it's a pneumonia. He never saw the patient. I talked to him multiple days in a row. The first day here, they gave me what to do, and we fixed him. The next few days were just, what do we do from now? How do we taper down the steroids? But did he do his job? Did he bill for it? No, he did not. Does it matter? I mean, it all goes back to what we're doing as doctors. Are we there to do a job? Are we there to help people? Because many times they're in conflict. And many times doing your job, as in quote unquote writing a note, is absolutely useless. Not you, but many people I have encountered. And the question is, why do we sell ourselves short and do such a shoddy, horrible, useless, worse than useless job sometimes? Many times. Is this what people do all the time? Is it just what they do sometimes? Is it because they're overworked, or is it because they just don't do work? I don't know the answer. And you talk about a few bad apples, say the police force, and it's not a few bad apples, as in they limit themselves. It's contagious. I know one doctor who happens to be like another doctor, and I'm gonna guess why. Because one is newer and she picked the wrong person to be her mentor. You don't want to follow somebody who's useless. You don't want to follow someone who just finishes their work, whatever that means. You want somebody who does good quality work. Medicine is not a field unlike others. Yes, there are people at McDonald's who are great, and yes, there are people who are horrible. But I'm gonna make a venture that the people who are horrible probably be horrible doing another job as well. And maybe these horrible people somehow went to medical school and finished residency, and I work with them. And it's just their personality. It's just something innate. Can I fix it? I'm gonna say no. I've learned my lesson, take my battles, and give things up. But I can continue to hate and despise their work ethic, or lack thereof, and say they should not be doctors, and I never want to work with them, ever.